Good morning, everybody. My name's James, and this is the Planet FPL Gameweek 30 Deadline stream. And it's live over the next 56 minutes or so. I'll be trying to answer as many of your FPL dilemmas as possible ahead of the 11 AM UK time deadline. Before I go through the questions, let me take you through the graphics on stream because they may answer many of your questions. Firstly, my team, top right hand corner of the screen, one free transfer made. Kelechi Iheanacho, sad face. He's gone. Sold on Thursday night, actually, because it looked like he was going to drop in price. Then he actually went last night. I'd seen enough during the week in terms of the videos from Manchester City that Erling Haaland is good to go. He's in, and I've decided after much deliberation with Andy, Let's Talk FPL on Thursday's pod, decided to reflect on that afterwards on Haaland versus Rashford, and I've captained Erling Haaland. You can see my top 10 captaincy picks in order of preference to the bottom right hand corner of the screen. So it's Haaland over Rashford over Watkins for me for the top three. Watkins is going to be popular. He's in great form, got a great fixture. I think the one, if you really wanted to go against the three, is Matoma. If you fancy a lot of goals, like I think there might be in the Liverpool-Arsenal game, I think the likes of Salah and Saka are also pretty reasonable alternatives. But I think it's between the top three. My preference is Haaland over Rashford over Watkins. I'll answer the question now that a few people are going to be saying, Harry Kane's not on that 10. Yeah, he probably wouldn't even be 11th, 12th, 13th either, actually. I think there are a number of better captaincy options this week, and a number of them play for Brighton, actually. Yet to see anyone who thinks Tottenham's actually going to win today. To the left of me, you'll see my correct score predictions for the game week, which includes a 3-1 win for Brighton. I don't think there's any real shocks there. I do think Liverpool can get something against Arsenal tomorrow, purely on the facts at Anfield. I think if it was at the Emirates, they'd probably destroy Liverpool. I think City will win comfortably enough today. One that might surprise people in there is I think Bournemouth will get something at Leicester, actually. They're deep in the mire. Right at the bottom of the screen, you'll see the next 5 fixtures for all 20 teams. Anything shown in blue is a double game week. In game week 34, there are 6 teams who have doubles then. 33, 34. Yeah, Captain, if you're listening, we haven't got double game weeks up, mate. Let me send him a message. Cap, we've got no doubles. Right, I'll message him in a sec. Benching dilemmas, ignore what I said. The benching dilemma screen is above that. They're in order of preference where there's 2 players with a tick. Pick the preferred player with the tick. They run in order from pages 1 to 4. And then the keeper's on page 5. I'll take that off so you can see it. Here she comes again. Page 1. Nunes over Isak. Isak over Ferguson. Ferguson over Solanke. Solanke over McAllister. The reason on McAllister is I do think there's a possibility he might play deeper today. I don't think he will, but I think it's possible. Page 2. McAllister over Odegaard. Odegaard over Buendia. Buendia over Johnson. Johnson over Mings. Page 3. Mings over Billing over Trent Alexander-Arnold. Page 3. Fuck me. Trent over Castagne. Castagne over Estupinan. Estupinan over Benrahma. Benrahma over me. Me over Botman. Botman over Ben White. And keepers. There's a few with a dilemma today. It might be subject to what you've got in terms of attacking players, but I'd do it like this. Leno over Kepa, Kepa over Pope, Pope over Raya, Raya over Steele. That will continue to rotate during the course of the stream. Let me get into the questions. I'll try and talk through the first one while I message Captain. Emily Sissoni says, hey James, which would you sell to bring in Haaland out of Saka or Maddison? Both -4. It would be Pereira in and Tony to Haaland. Or sell Kane to Haaland for free? Or would you just roll a transfer? I'd just sell Kane. Personally. Yeah, free transfer. That would be my take. I think in terms of setup, Emily, most are heading towards obviously 5 in midfield. So that's probably the best advice at the moment. No blue fixtures for double game weeks on ticker, my friend. If he sees it, he'll correct it because he's a hero. I'd just sell Kane, to be honest. It's my take, but it's also dependent on your strategy, what you plan to do, Emily. You're going to sell Kane probably after 31. Would you keep for 32 if you're not free hitting? Would you keep him 32 if you are free hitting? After that, he's got what? United 33, Liverpool away 34. Definitely not going to want it 34, I don't think. I'd just sell Kane for free. Doesn't feel right selling Maddison on the -4. In terms of Saka, again, dependent on strategy. But after this week, West Ham and Southampton next 2 for Arsenal. Again, depends on your strategy. But yeah. Oh, that's interesting. There's flashing emojis at the bottom of the screen. What's all that about? Andrew Jarvis says, morning, hope you're well. Want Haaland back. 1 free transfer for Havertz. Need to take a -4 to afford Haaland. Who to sell for? Raya to a 3.9. Tony to 6.8 / Maddison to a 7.3. Free hit 32. Good luck for the game week. And you too, Jarvo. Probably the sensible call is Tony, isn't it? For most people. Tony's being sold en masse by the majority. I don't think that's because they particularly want to get rid of Tony for this particular week. Well, that's obviously a difficult fixture against Newcastle. Without knowing what you want to buy, Jarvo, Tony. Free hit 32. I'm going to assume maybe you've used your bench boost. Consider Greenwood or Ferguson come right down. Right, FPL Invincible says, hi James, I'm selling Shaw worth a hit. Haven't got a free hit anymore, so I want to prepare a team for 32. Thanks. If obviously you're not free hitting in 32, then there's more scope to do it, certainly. But who are you going to? Newcastle, Villa. Probably going to feel like you wanted that last week, maybe. Yeah, it also depends. I mean, think of it like this. Obviously, I can't see your team, but have you already got free Brighton and Rashford, for example? Like, if you do, there's every chance Shaw's going to be a sacrifice for you in 32 in any case. And if Shaw doesn't make it back for next week, you got 3 weeks of gain there. So, yeah, it probably is for you. For those looking to bench boost in 34 and free hitting in 32, like me, it's probably more information is probably more important at the moment. Doris Sam Maguire says, morning James, hope the chicken left to roost. Free hit 32. Shaw, Maddison and Tony out for Ream, maybe. March and Haaland for a -8. Or roll for -4 next week. So you need to make all those moves just to get Haaland. Do you though? You probably don't. Depends where you'd go with the Maddison, how much money you've got in the bank. I mean, again, Dara, if you're sitting there with Harry Kane, just consider free transfer if you've got the money. That's my take, honestly. And I can understand not wanting to get rid of Kane, and it's Bournemouth at home next week. If you've got Haaland sitting there next week, you're not going to captain Kane over Haaland next week. So I'd consider that. Feels like a lot going on there. March is obviously a great get. Free hit and 32 adds to him. Ream feels like for the sake of it, because he's got a double in 34, but they're awful fixtures. Mind you, they've got good fixtures either side, as discussed with Dara Curran on Clash of Correspondence yesterday. Selling Maddison and Tony on a -8 don't feel right to me with home fixtures. You'd have to captain Haaland to justify that, is what I'll close with, Dara. Eshen says, bench Ferguson or March. It would be Ferguson, mate. Close one, though. I've got Ferguson over McAllister this week on the bench in dilemmas. As I said, I think there's a possibility that McAllister might play deeper today, which could involve Gross playing at fullback, possibly. I've got an inkling that might happen. I don't think it will, but I've got an inkling it might, and that's why I've gone that way. Ferguson, I think, starts with the 4-day gap between Tuesday and today. Great option. But I think March, we know what we're getting, don't we? So, yeah, I would play Solly March, mate. Mato says, hi, James. Kane to Haaland for free or Maddison to Barnes/Grealish and Havertz to Haaland for a -4. Have a great weekend, pal. Again, depends a little bit on your strategy. I don't mind if you're free hitting 32 to go with Jack. Be a great differential. But again, I'm not keen on selling Maddison this week, I must say. That's one that I think is going to come up a few times. It's still a great fixture. I do think it will have goals in it. Again, if you need to do that and you want to captain Haaland, I think it's probably a reluctant yes. Jarvo says, is Moyes to Potter in the summer desirable and realistic for West Ham? Yes and yes. Ali Bismo says, hi James, would you play Bruno or March? Probably March, to tell you the truth. Yeah, probably. I don't think Christian Eriksen will start today, and that's probably going to make a big difference to Bruno Fernandes in weeks going forward. And I do think in the predicted United team I've done, I think Fred might come in today, and I think Fernandes might play higher. I think the right answer is March. Let me ask you this. Here's a very similar question to one of our patrons about something last night. Let me ask you this. If I said to you, you've got to captain one of them this week, Ali, who would you say? I say to that, March. Eshen says, thoughts on a KDB for Bruno -4? No. I think if you've committed to Bruno like I have, let's give it a little bit of time, see what happens when Casemiro and Eriksen are probably back in the team next week. It's going to make a difference. I think there's a strong possibility that KDB won't start today. I'm not Andy Mears. I don't have ITK on anything. It's just knowing about City and tactical setups against teams that might go very deep. And Southampton have had some success against City doing it. I don't even think KDB, I don't think it's anywhere near guaranteed to start today. So it'd be a definite no. Luke Wilson says, morning James, bench one of Isak, Martinelli or Mitoma. Don't have any other Brighton mids with extreme reluctance, and I mean extreme reluctance. I'll say Isak. Obezeri says, hi James, non-Watkins owner here, terrified. Get him first before Haaland, especially looking to captain him too. If you want to captain him, sure, get him in. It's justified, isn't it? All I'd say is stuff starts to get a bit more difficult for Villa after this week. That's Newcastle next week. That's probably going to be contradicting for you if you've got Trippier, as most people do. You may even have another Newcastle defender that you need to play next week if you've still got Luke Shaw. So, be a no from me. But if you think he's the best captaincy choice, then I'm going to say, yeah, get him in, mate. Lewis Conley says, hi James, who to play out of Steele and Pope? And also, is it a crazy idea to be considering playing March over Maddison? No, I'd probably play March over Maddison. But I'd play Pope in most cases over Steele. What contradicts that a little bit, and again, I can never see anyone's team, and I really don't want people to post their whole teams, but if you say still got Tony and you haven't got Kane, it's probably close enough I'd maybe go Steele. But I think if you've got Nick Pope, in nearly all games, you should just play him. Maito says, also, thoughts on the Mighty Blades' chance of going up after last night's results? Oh, God, I don't know what Sheffield United did yesterday, but they're clear enough, aren't they? Middlesbrough losing certainly would have helped. So, yeah, I think they'll confirm themselves before the season ends, I should imagine. Obviously, congratulations to our Burnley followers, if there's any in watching now. They've blitzed that league this year, and Sheffield United across the season have been the second best team as well. So, I imagine, yeah, they should come up, and I imagine they'll do it before the final day. LP says, morning James, Isak or Havertz to Haaland, thanks. Personally, be Havertz for me, mate. Rishi Segal says, hi James, Isak or Tony out for Haaland, which one do you prefer? If I was already on Isak, I'd be keen to keep him. Great 34 fixture. Double coming up later in the season. I think he'll play today. I think he's first choice ahead of Wilson. There is going to be some rotation. You've got that threat to Tony of the yellow cards. And after 34, their fixtures are tougher as well. So I think the right call there is to say to keep Isak, mate. Berticus says, hey James, probably the most boring question you'll get all week. Who to play, Rico Henry or Pinnock? Probably Pinnock. Based on recent attacking returns over the last 6 game weeks or so. FPL Golo Galazzo, easy James. Should I start Mitoma or Barnes? Mitoma, mate. Richard Marshall, morning James. Currently starting his Stupinan over Botman due to more attacking threat, as well as starting Tony over Mac. Think McAllister will play deeper to gain more control over Spurs. The only thing I'd add to that, and I've mentioned it's a possibility, Richard, McAllister doesn't need to play deeper for Brighton to have more control against Spurs. They'll have it anyway. James Nelson says, hi James, good luck this week and thanks for the amazing content. Would you sell Isak or Havertz for Haaland? Free hit 32 is locked. Smash a like, people. Same, Havertz, mate. Steve says, how long do we keep Watkins for after today? Probably for most people, it'll probably be sell 34, I should imagine. So, look, they've got Fulham at home 33. And very interestingly about 33, the fixtures are rough. Watkins might be a better captaincy in 33 than he is this week. They've got Fulham at home. So, I think 34 to go to Manchester United. You want to compete with bench boosters, etc. It's probably then. So, Yeah, I think probably 34 would be the take. That's probably the plan for me at the moment. But it's subject to Darwin Núñez, I think. Subject to if I decide Evan Ferguson's going to be my third. I'm obviously not bench boosting 34, so it might be keep and just bench. FTLOL podcast says, morning James, Alisson or Edison the better long-term option, free hit in 32. Well, Edison's got 2 doubles, 34, 37, whereas Alisson's just got the 1. But Alisson is a better option full stop than Edison. And if you had to play Alisson in 37 at home to Villa, I think that's still okay. I'm going to say Alisson despite the extra Edison fixture. Doesn't mean, by the way, that I won't necessarily buy Edison over Alisson. Because it is, I think, relative to what you want to do. You know, when you start looking at Konates versus Akis and stuff like that, can have a bearing on that decision as well. And it might be it works better for me to get a Konate rather than a City defender. But I think probably Alisson is the better call and get a City defender later on. Alistair Cope says, morning mate, would you rather have Maddison and Henry or Saka and Botman just this week? Probably Saka. The other two, I'd just toss a coin in it. But probably I'd rather have Saka over Maddison this week. Doesn't mean I'd be in it, right? Excuse me. Pavinar says, on wildcard, going for Haaland and Alvarez. Both. Feel excited. Also got Pedro Porro in defence as a punt. Any other punts that you feel that could be interesting? Thanks. I hope that Pedro Porro pick is short with 2 weeks in mind with a plan of what to do with it. Yeah, I think Alvarez is a decent shout. I think there's every chance. They both start today, by the way. I think there's every chance because of what I said about KDB. Could well be Haaland and Alvarez. Any other punts that could be interesting? Maybe a cheap Fulham mid if you're going with 3 up front. So we spoke a lot about Solomon and Pereira on Clash of Correspondence yesterday. But to be honest, our concentration at the moment really is on sort of 5-6 teams maximum, really. So anything wild at the moment. I think Fulham. I would have arguably said Zaha if he'd stayed fit at this point, but nah. Maybe a cheap Philip Billing if you're not bench boosting 34, or even like Marcus Tavernier. Otherwise, no, not really. Who's next? Nigel Sam says, good morning, James. Good luck this week. And to you too, Nigel. Made the mistake of bringing in Ings last week over the other cheap forward. Should I do Tony to Haaland and bench Ings, or Ings to Haaland and bench March Fernandez? We can do with Ings next week home to Arsenal. Are you free hitting 32? Ings is more useful to you if you're not free hitting 32. So it probably comes down to that, Nigel. If you're free hitting 32, I'd probably bin Ings. If you're not, I'd probably keep Ings. Pete Haley says, hi James, who to play, Martinelli or McAllister? I'd play Martinelli, mate. Kedson Chopra, bench Tony or Darwin or March. Difficult to make a case to ever bench Ivan Tony. God. Núñez with extreme reluctance. Mahomi says, James, if you have Leicester mids, do you play them or bench for a Brighton one? Keep up the great content, especially this week. I think it's subject, right? So I'd play Maddison over McAllister. I'd probably play McAllister over Barnes. I'd play the likes of Marsh and Mitoma over Maddison. There you go. There's an order for you. Lewis Johnson says, Tony to Haaland and Kepa to Everson. Allows Salah and Edison in a few weeks. Importantly, who's your other keeper? That's important, isn't it? What's your plan further forward? I'm going to assume you're not bench boosting 34 based on that strategy. I think he's looking for a way into getting Haaland. I fancy Chelsea for a clean sheet, and I think Kepa will play today, is my take. So, yeah, hits for goalkeepers don't feel right, but I realise that you're doing that to justify the move to Haaland. It's got to be. And yes, if it allows for future plans, the likes of Salah and Edison, great. But again, if you want to bet, if that's part of the idea of bench boosting 34, every chance Ward comes back in instead of Everson for that fixture with Everton. So it's probably again dependent on strategy. If you're not bench boosting 34, yeah, fine, crack on. Static says, hi James, hope all is well. Tony to Haaland, but I need to swap either Gabriel to Villa defender or Chilwell to Aki. Any thoughts? Just need them for the next 2 game weeks. Ooh, that's really tough. Does Ben Chilwell play both those in the next 2? Just the next 2 weeks. That's tough. I wouldn't want to remove Ben Chilwell this week, mate. Wouldn't want to. He's a Villa defender. Oh, with reluctance. Ellie Hobbs says Felix and Tony out for Haaland. I said reluctance a lot today, haven't I? Felix and Tony out for Haaland captain, and enough funds for Solanke or Vinicius with Fulham's double. I think you're asking me sell Felix or Tony. Felix had just been, personally. But then again, what do you do if Tony does get that yellow card today? Where does that leave you? I would get Solanke over Vinicius, would be my take. Bournemouth at home to Leeds 34. It's not terrible. Richard Saunders Irving, morning gents. He's only one of us. Is Tony going to punish all his sellers? Hope so, because I still got him. LP says play Isak on McAllister this week. Cheers. Isak. Just. Paul H says, hi James, hope you're well. Would you bench Tony, Felix or Matoma? Felix. Josh says, morning James, have a front three of Tony, Felix and Kane. Want Haaland this week. Can sell Tony, Felix and downgrade backup goalkeeper to get Haaland from -4. Or do Kane to Haaland for 3. Thoughts? Felix I'd been, personally. Raymond Reddington, sell Tony or Havertz. FPL Bio. Morning James, is there a great upside to hold free hit till 34 with those doubles, given I'll have 10 players for 32 with the free transfers, no goalkeeper? Granted, I understand you don't have my team at hand. Well said, Bio. Exactly that. So if you take me at the moment, actually the way it's landing, I'm going to have probably sort of 7 or 8 maybe for 32 if Tony escapes the booking. But I've got no Liverpool, no Arsenal. So it's what I always say, right? It's not the, oh, how many? Who have you got? So for me, it's still the right answer. Now, in 34, it might be that you're really well set up. Perhaps you've already committed heavily to Manchester City. I don't know. I think every team's circumstantial, right? But for me personally, I can only look at 32 and say I've got no Liverpool, no Arsenal, and I'm definitely having 6 of them on a free hit. So that's still fairly definitive for me. I know a lot of people are preferring free hit 34. My argument against it, and again, it'll be right for many of you, do you not want, other than Liverpool players maybe, all the people you want in 34 do you not want in 37? Generally speaking. That's another reason why I think adds to 32. But it's circumstantial depending on team, mate. Lee Thompson says, hi James, bench one of Maddison, Martinelli or Bruno Fernandes. Fernandes. Jesus. FPL Irons, my friend, is in. Says, hi James, do you think a Brighton clean sheet is more or less likely than the 26% chance the bookies have it at? I have to start Dunk or take a -4 for Aki Mings. Look, I've done the percentages on it and I can tell you that that's absolutely spot on. 26.3% I had it at. No, I obviously didn't. Sounds about right. Yeah, I still think we'll probably score today, primarily because Brighton have a big vulnerability from set pieces and we're quite strong from them. It's also why I actually, despite the fact I think they'll muller us, we are capable because there's definitely an avenue to hurt Brighton there. I would not take a -4 for Aki Mings, mate. Just think about it logically, right? Mings at home to Forest is probably 6 points, yeah? What's Dunk at Tottenham, 2? Is it worth the -4? Does he add anything to you further on? Again, what's the strategy, Luke? If you're not free in 32, then Mings obviously gives you an extra fixture down the line. If you are taking Dunk out for 34 when he's got the double and you know he'll play twice, it's a no from me, mate. Matthew Knight says, morning James, bench one of Tony, March or Odegaard. Odegaard. The Woodstock one, Chris says, good morning James, I have a bench dilemma, mate. Not sure who to bench from Gabriel, Bueno or Botman. Have Shaw on bench and Trippier starting in back 3. Thanks in advance. I play Botman out of 3 of them, I think. Bueno, does he play? It's probably bench Bueno, isn't it, on minutes? Ben M says, hit the like, people, do it. Right, let's see. What percentage have we got smashed the like so far this week? Better than normal. You know, about 20% of you. 80% of you could smash a like. It'd be very much appreciated. JP says, what do you think of Rashford's crazy home form versus Haaland average away form for deciding the captain? I'd decide Everton versus Southampton. That's ultimately where it's come down to. Space for Rashford would be difficult, as it was for, say, Heung-min Son on Monday. Southampton got defensive issues. in terms of injuries. Salisu's still unavailable. Bella Kochop's a big doubt. Haaland, for me, is part of the reason doing it, although the main reason is just Haaland, to be totally honest. But I wouldn't read too much into it. You can read into the historical, but you need the context. So what's the context? Right, Southampton have got defensive injuries. Okay, right. How many times have United played a team like Everton are going to be really narrow and compact, right? And the longer you go without scoring, the tougher it is. Is a draw even a good result for Southampton today? Well, yeah, it is, but they're running out of... They're the ones who are in real danger of getting cut adrift, right? If they're level, do they go for it near the end of the game? Is Haaland on the pitch at that stage? Do we factor in expected minutes for the two players? Could Rashford even be a bit of a minutes risk today, considering he's played Sunday, Wednesday night, Saturday lunchtime? Haaland hasn't played for 3 weeks, as ever. There's many narratives you can spin however you want. I always say pick your battles with Haaland, right? And I do just generally with captaincy. And I think playing the weakest team in the league, and at the moment, unfortunately, Southampton are, is not something I should look beyond. That's my opinion. JP says, do you think Villa defensive assets can keep their returns coming? Sure, but the fixtures get tougher. But then again, look, if you're free hitting in 32, you've got 3 home fixtures in a row, right? Prabnor says, hello, James. I can only bring in Haaland by selling Kane as I have 1 free transfer left. Should I sell Kane or take a hit to bring in Haaland for Tony or just roll? I'm free hitting in 32. Free hitting in 32 adds to the idea of probably selling Tony. But then again, if he escapes these bookings, it'd be more useful to you in 34 than Kane. I'd sell Kane, personally. JP says, surely Brighton have more goals in them than United, mainly Rashford. McAllister 10 or Fernandes. Pros, con. It's positional. Like, it could be that McAllister plays deeper this week and Fernandes plays higher. I've kind of covered this off. On that one, I'd just edge for Fernandes over McAllister, I think. Lewis Johnson says, Haaland in Sky. You really contradict everything I've said now. I'm probably going to leave it be, I think. I'll be honest, I've not given Sky much focus since the podcast on Wednesday. I will have a second look. No promises that I won't buy him, but my instinct on Wednesday and what I discussed there was that I was probably going to leave it. And I'll probably captain Rashford in Sky. JP says, how do you think Lampard affects Chelsea assets? He didn't like Kepa, might change formation, thus reducing clean sheet and wing back appeal. Played back three plenty when he was manager, and I think he'd look at that and go, he's got loads of centre backs. He's now got Kante back available. I don't see why he changed the system. I actually think Chelsea will be unchanged today. I think Kepa playing goal. Moving further forward, difficult to tell. But the big comment yesterday was slate's clean for everyone. And actually, if they'd taken one of their chances the other night, people probably go it was a deserved victory. So I think he might give them a chance to go again, subject to recovery. Kante's recovery, he might be achy and he might change, for example. But I think he might even pick the same team today. So I don't think we know yet, is the honest answer. Adam Lewis says, hi, JMO, great content as always. Bench Mitoma or Saka this week. Cheers, mate. Christ. Okay. Considering I've got Mitoma, Saka as 4th and 6th on the captaincy, I've got Salah 5th and Rashford 2nd. That's the ideal 4 midfield this week. Rashford, Mitoma, Salah, Saka. Then March for a 5. There's got to be someone else you've got there who's more benchable. That's genuinely my take. From the 2, I bench Saka. Who's next? Lost me place. Daniel Cullerton, beat City defensive asset for the next few weeks. Cheers, James. I presume you meant best. Diaz, if affordable, but you need to check your long-term plan for that because he might not be. So I think probably the right answer right now might be Aki. Do not be surprised if the player you buy doesn't start today. I'll add that as a caveat. Colin Johnson says, morning, James. Love the concept, mate, especially this week being fantastic. Don't tell Suj. Suj knows. Play Botman or a Stupinan. Get me Mings and Trips free at the back. I play a Stupinan, mate. Just the upside on the offensive stuff. Roseanne says, Ivan and Daniel to Erling and Mason for free. Daniel who and is it Mason Mount? I wouldn't be buying Mason Mount yet, mate. Miana says, hello, James. God, there's a lot of names there. Miana. Zinni, Botman, Tripp, Short, Estupinan. Should I transfer one for a City defender and which one? Smash the like, people. I Only if it's for free. If you're free hitting 32, I'd sell Zinchenko. There you go. Vinny Stone says, hello, James. Henry or Gabriel already have Raya in goal. Yeah, probably Henry. Vinny Stone, hello, James. Henry or Gabriel already have Raya in goal. I thought I'd read that out twice just for jokes. Pete says, looking sharp, James. 1-3 to Brighton. Yeah, that's what I've got. Looking sharp. Bicola's bouncing up a bit, isn't it? Lewis James says, good morning, James. Benching dilemma. Bench 1. Maddison, Barnes, Mitoma. He's my only Brighton mid. Thanks in advance, Barnes. Ian from Melbourne. Evening, James. Is it a coin flip on the Brighton mids this game week? Have the same two as yourself and on McAllister based purely on taking pens. Good luck for the game, mate. Hit that like. I mean, of course, that's a different narrative to spin on McAllister. Yes, it is, mate. Any one of them can outscore the others. McAllister and March could haul today and Mitoma doesn't return for whatever reason, right? That's going to be capable any week, mate. Merza says, hi, James. Would you start Martinelli or Odegaard? By the way, I think Spurs will surprise and win versus Brighton. I hope you're right, mate, and I'd go for Martinelli. By the way, for those who haven't heard content the last couple of days, I think there's a good chance that Joe Gomez will start for Liverpool tomorrow, if that influences your thinking in any way. Uros Milicevic, that's for Trent, by the way. Hi, James. Who would you start? Gabriel or Stupinan? Zubin says, hi, James. Thoughts on Watkins over Haaland for the captaincy? I'd probably recommend Zubin rewinding to the first couple of minutes of the stream and having a listen back to that because I kind of covered off my thinking at the start. But as I said, someone else who asked, someone wanted to get Watkins because they thought it was the best option. If that's what you feel, that's absolutely fine. But it's Haaland, Rashford, Watkins as shown on screen is my preference. I kind of spoke about Haaland, Rashford a minute or so ago, so I'm not going to repeat that. But thank you very much for the question. We are about 23 minutes from deadline, guys. I wouldn't be expecting any late news, by the way, unless it's on Manchester United, as in shortly before deadline. But you never know your luck. I think it will be busy close to deadline, though, of people hoping to wait for Haaland news. I'd be surprised if you get anything. Jovan says, hi, James. What with Iheanacho? Sold reluctantly. Oh, shit. I better message my wife as well. Hi, babe. Don't forget FPL Deadline, 11 o'clock. Sorry, streaming live at the moment. Love you. Bye. Yeah, I was reluctant to sell, but how many weeks could I keep doing it? I might play this one. It's 3 games in a row as I started. It was the easy one to sell for me. Yes, I know that if he starts, there's every chance he could halt today. Ben Edinson says, would you start Tony over Isak? Yes, probably, but again, it's a little bit conflicting, Tony versus Trippier, but I think yes. I think Ivan Tony is difficult to leave out in any game. Frankie says, James, recent subscriber, love how you talk about the game. What do you think of Short to Chilwell -4? If you're free hitting 32 and not bench boosting 34, then looks more attractive. For a hit, not so sure. And actually, to contradict what I said about 34, you're going to want Shaw in 34, aren't you? Rather than Chilwell. I think it's a no, Frankie. To be honest, a no. But I mean, Ben Chilwell is certainly more capable than most of a haul today. Football Edit says, hi, James. I'm 10 years old. I really should stop swearing. And 50k in the world. Watch your vids every week. Who should I play, Martinelli or March? Slight preference for March, mate. I wish you luck. Apologies for my foul language. Don't copy me. Behave. Like in WWE. Don't try this at school. Sombo G says, hi, James. Should I do Kane to Haaland? Thank you. Yeah, sure. John Cahill says, if you wanted Payne and had to captain one of Barnes or Madders, who would you go for, mate? Madison, reluctantly. I've got to stop saying that. Uros says, start Mitoma or March. The captaincy graphic will give you a clue there, Uros. Te Oksong. Hi, James. Would you take a hit to bring in a City defender for Gabriel to prepare for Gameweek 34? Gonna free hit 32. I think with that, you ask yourself, right? If you get to 34, can you make that in 34 as a free transfer, for example? Can you make it in next week as a free transfer? If the answer to that is yes, the answer is no. But if you think it's a transfer that you're going to end up doing for a hit anyway, now's as good a time as any. Let me put it like that. Florentine P says, hi, James. Would you sell Shaw to Malassi on free transfer? No, I absolutely would not. unless you had your wild card in your pocket and was looking to maybe use it next week or in 33. Wild card, maybe. No. Only if you've got the wild. If you haven't got the wild card left, no chance. Will he outscore him this week? Yeah, sure, obviously. Nick Goodall says, no consideration for Maddison captain? No, none. To be honest. No, rather captain Arsenal player at Liverpool. Tino Sakira says, hi mate, should I play Ferguson? I mean, I don't know who instead of, but yeah, sure. Dushant says, Tony or Maddison? Tony. Chris Loftus, great show as always, James. Henry to Aki -4. I think it's worth the hit. No. I think when people are liking the stream, right, it's popping up and giving across the chat, these little love hearts come up. It's great for me to see these little love hearts come up, by the way. That's all it can be. Ben M says, play Kane, Tony or Martinelli. Cheers as always. Look, despite what I've said about Harry, I'd never want to bench him. Jesus. I would never bench Harry Kane any game ever if I owned him. From that, jeez. If it was me, I'd probably bench Martinelli. FPL Bio says Havertz or Jesus. If you're not buying Havertz, are you? You've already got Jesus already? Seems a strange one. Certainly don't buy either. If you're in a position to start both, I personally... Jesus. Dan Moss says, morning James, 1 free transfer. Sell Havertz or Tony. Yeah, Havertz. Cheers, pal. Play it your way. Be kind, people. Like the video. Thank you, Dan. 10 Dice says, hello, mate. Happy he's the -4 for Havertz to Erling and Tony to Watkins. I think it would probably be irresponsible of me to tell you not to do that. So I'm going to say, yeah, crack on. Aish Warrior says, hello, James. Question 1. I've transferred in Haaland and 5.5 million Villa mid for -4 point for Maddison and Tony, as I was thinking of free hit in Gameweek 34. What's the question, mate? Are you wanting a Villa mid at that price? Maybe Jacob Ramsey. Andrew Sands says, morning, handsome. You crawly bumlick. Looking good. That's what my missus says when I say something nice to her. She calls me a crawly bumlick. She's left me a message.
Well, I put Wilson back in my team just to let you know. Thank you. Bye. Love you. Bye.
Just in case you didn't hear that.
Well, I put Wilson back in my team just to let you know. Thank you. Bye. Love you. Bye.
I can't tell her that I don't think he'll start, can I? I'm just going to leave that be. So I'm fine. I reminded her of the deadline. Oh, Jesus Christ. No, I'm not saying anything. Fuck it. Ali says, hi James, bench Felix or Martinelli. Felix. Patrick Lawson says, would you sell Tony or Havertz for Haaland? Blanks and doubles, not a problem. I'd sell Havertz, mate. But again, what do you do if you sell Havertz and Tony gets butts this week? Where does that leave you for next week? Unfortunately, there's a consciousness on that, isn't there? Personally, I'd sell Havertz. That's my take. Tom says, afternoon, do you think Havertz still starts with Lampard back? Yes, probably this week. As I said, I think they might even be unchanged. Downstairs says, morning legend, I know it's Maddison, Saka and Kane aren't on your benching dilemmas. Is that because you'd prefer them all over those who are, especially Odegaard? Cheers for another great week and good luck. Yeah, those 3 players would not want to bench. Not at all. So, would I play them all over Odegaard? Yes. Dion Chung says, thoughts on Tyrell Malacia? Like 1 week punt, fine. Does he start today? Highly likely, yeah. But we haven't got the Shaw injury information. If it comes out next week that Shaw's out for 5-6 weeks, then sure, we should have gone there. But we haven't got the information, mate. Chim says, Kane to Haaland or Tony to Haaland and Shaw to Fass. Fass for -4. Captain Haaland on both. Just the one, mate. -4 for a Leicester defender. That's because that's all that's affordable to you, isn't it? I wouldn't even be hugely shocked if Johnny Evans got his spot back. I'm going to guess with Fast, you probably wouldn't start him often. It's just to fund Haaland. Yeah, I'd sell Kane. Aish Warrior says, question 2, my midfield starting. Long story short, would I start Saka over Buendia? Yes. Thiago Costa, morning James, thank you for all your effort. You're the GOAT. Cheers, mate. Chim and Free Hit 32. I've forgotten your question already, mate. Yo says, play Zuma or Trent? I'd still play Trent, even though I don't think he starts. Tom says, play Zuma or Estupinan? Estupinan. Scribe J Josh says, yes James, hope all is well. Haaland is coming in for Havertz or Kane. Who'd be your preference? Makes no difference for future short-term purchases. I'd been Havertz. Heather says, good morning James. Good morning Heather. Tom says, thoughts on Crystal Palace defence for the rest of the season? It's all green. It certainly is, mate. How often do we actually use it though is the only thing to say. Slight preference for Gay because it's 4.4. There you go. Paul Jones says, need to bench one of Bruno Fernandes, March, Mitoma, Saka or Kane. Going by your cat picks, would it be Bruno or Kane to sit out? Cheers, mate. Wouldn't bench Harry, Paul. You'll know that. So, yeah, very reluctantly, Bruno Fernandes, mate. Joseph Robinson says, Haaland has not played in 3 weeks. Personally, I can't see him starting. More likely, they will give him the last 30 minutes to prepare him for Bayern. Okay, Joseph, good luck. Josh Chelling says, the go-to deadline stream, in my opinion. Smash a like, people. Also, love the pods with Let's Talk FPL and FPL Harry this week, who also have deadline streams ongoing now, by the way, if you don't like this one. Kieran Keane says, have all chips left, thinking free hit 32, wildcard 33, bench boost 34. But if I was to triple captain Haaland in 34, when should I bench boost? Thanks, mate. 34 is the right answer for bench boost, and that chip's more important and more powerful than the triple captaincy chip. So I'd be more flexible with your triple captaincy. So maybe Haaland 37. Maybe with a Brighton player 37 if the title's gone for City. Trippier 36 maybe. There's some alternatives. You could even say something like Haaland at home to Leeds 35 if you get desperate, right? Maybe even Salah at home to 32. Mind you, free hitting. I was going to say that. Salah or Saka 32. You could even say Arsenal player for Gameweek 38 at home to Wolves if they're having a party, maybe even. Elias says, would you do Watkins, Kane to Haaland? You can't sell Ollie Watkins this week, mate. Honestly. Chipman76 says, favourite deadline stream for the great tickers and advice. Have Maddison on the bench. Couldn't see anyone to bench him over. March, Mitoma, Isak closest. I probably would play Maddison over Isak, just. Stevie's son, James, happy Easter. Bench Odegaard on Maddison. Would you reckon? Odegaard. How many times can I say reluctance today? This is what happens when people come up with a bench boost. Benching dilemmas. Louis Horner says, hi James, I'm going for Tony to Haaland, but can't decide who to sell at Saka, Maddison, Bruno to fund it. -4. Strategy is important to consider here, right? So, if you're not free hitting 32, then the answer is probably sell Bruno, mate. James Marathi says, morning mate, thoughts on removing Havertz and Tony to Haaland and Solanke Ferguson? Yeah, coming round more to Ferguson, considering De Zerbi's comments yesterday about him as well. I'm going to say yes. Max says, hey James, Castagna versus Mings, no free hit 32. No free hit 32. Villa are just better. Mings. Jack Davison says, hi James, love the pod. I'm doing Tony to Haaland, downgrading Salah to a cheaper option to free up the money from -4. Any suggestions? We're thinking McAllister or Grealish. Again, little dependent on your strategy. Remember, both of them be unavailable for you 32, both double 34. I like the idea of getting a City mid at the moment and taking a bit more time on the Brighton player, considering, although I think they'll win well today, on paper, Tottenham away, Chelsea away are challenging. Not sure. If I had Salah, though, I wouldn't be selling him at the moment, I have to say, above everything else. I think you'll find over the next 2 weeks, Mo Salah is going to be on the agenda for most. So if you've got, I'd be holding him. So I'd consider alternatives. Jack Sound 9.4 to spend. We don't spend it for the sake of it, mate. You're going to find that useful. Callum says, which City defender do you prefer for the rest of the season? Diaz, but check your long-term plans, as I said earlier. Greg Williams, Havertz or Tony? Havertz. He's saying to Haaland, sorry. How many times have I answered that? Any Havertz or Tonys to Haaland, I'm just going to say Havertz, right? So I'm just going to skip him, to be honest. Akil Al-Shakari says Shah or Ben White. I'd play. It's not Shah, it's Share. Neem Stevens, morning James, bench 1. Bowen, Saka, Maddison, Bowen. Jack McMillan says start Odegaard on March. Arvind, Emerson or Estupinan? As in start, Estupinan. Victor says, have less funds to do Tony to Haaland. Take a -4 to get Haaland in and captain, or just roll and captain Rush form. I like that. Rush form with his home form. I'm not sure what the question is, mate, but not going Haaland and captain Rashford is particularly if you're not free hitting 32. It's okay. Look, Watkins could outscore Haaland today. Haaland could blank, right? I don't think he will, personally. I think he'll start, and I think he'll go off. But I don't really understand what you're asking on the question, Victor. Are you saying sell Tony? Sure, sell Tony. That's what most are doing. Joshua Webster, play Ings or Mitoma? Mitoma. FPL Gatey. Sure to chill from -4, free hit 32, and can then do Keller. I presume that's meant to be Kepa to De Gea 31. Yeah, if you've got an alternative strategy with that, Gatey, I don't mind, right? Because, I'd prefer De Gea over Shaw as an asset in any case. So I don't mind that. And if you were to take a -4 for a defender this week, I think Chilwell would be right near the top of the list. Jay Stedman, PS3, says, once again being tempted by Reece James. Please try and convince me otherwise. 0.1 short of Diaz. Don't think Reece James will play Brighton next week. That help you? Ryan Terry says, hello, would you bench Castagna or Botman this week? On my predictions, Castagna, but no, I wouldn't have played Castagna. It's more offensive upside, isn't there? Keith Rowley, morning James, love the content this week. Have a great game week, you too. FPL Big Lick says, apologies if you've answered this, has just joined Brentford defender to Chilwell from -4. Less keen on that. You need Chilwell to haul. In the case of the other one with Shaw, he ain't available, is he? Not keen on it for a hit, to be honest, my friend. Free, sure. Velin says, who would you start, James, Tony or Mitoma? I would not want to be leaving Mitoma out today, let me say that. Anti says, play Felix or Odegaard. Peter says, hi, James. Thoughts on bringing in Jesus on wildcard or fancy goals for the title push? Sure. But I think if you were free hitting 32 is a better option. If you're not, then fine. You're going to want to go heavy on Arsenal now. I understand that. Sure. He'll probably play the majority of games here on in. I think he starts tomorrow. Abadai says, Estupinan or Gabriel? Estupinan. Kai says, what should I do if I can't get Haaland with the money I have right now? Should I take a -4? Kai, how am I meant to answer that? I've got no clue who you'd even be considering selling, mate. Let me just say, yeah, sure, do it. Miles Thompson says, I want to take out Henry, but can't see many defenders worth of a free transfer this week. Would also need them to play 32. Maybe a Villa defender or roll. Thanks, roll, Miles, if you're in doubt. Definitely that, mate. Stephen Noble Murray, Salah, Tony to Grealish, Haaland -4. Again, I'd strongly reconsider the idea of selling Mo Salah. Gavin Sharp says, hi James, who to bench from Ferdinand? I presume it's meant to be Bruno Fernandes, McAllister, Saka, McAllister. Andrew Sands says, always thought of an easy on the eye rather than FPL asset, but Eze and Elise could be good with no Zaha. Top of the ticket, only issue is the quality and value in midfield. The biggest issue, Andrew, is you're blocking a midfield spot out. And you're going to be cutting yourself off something you want, whether that's City, United or Brighton. Janko says, bench Tony or McAllister. Kailash says, hi James. Hello Kailash. We are about 6 minutes from deadline, guys. Really strongly consider getting yourself locked in. I've had no information in terms of any possible sharing of possible leaks. Patrons, if you're watching live, you know the drill. Tag me on Slack if there's anything worthwhile news going around. Mossin says, morning James, with Shaw injured, would you start White or Pinnock? Pratik says, Shaw to Villa defender at -4. Not for a hit, mate. Akil says, Malacia or Young. I wouldn't be buying either of those players right now. If you had to, Young. Bozos says, hi James, Paddy from Colombia here. Hello mate. I have team set up for free hit in Game Week 34. Haaland in for Tony, which implies -12 between now and Game Week 34. Roll transfer, which implies -4 between now and 34. So what you're saying is essentially going without Haaland. But if you're going to captain Haaland twice, do you think he makes up that 8-point difference? I'd suggest yes. Consider that. I'm not keen on -12, you know that. Sebwa says, morning James, happy Easter. Would you bench March or Saka? Am I overthinking as usual? March. Kailash says, Phil Chilwell, massive rotation risk given Real Madrid this week. Would you start him over Solly March? Mentioned earlier, it would be unchanged. I think more the point there, Kailash, is how have you got 3 defenders that are a better choice this week than Ben Chilwell? Just forget Chilwell versus March. That's the reason he's not on the bench in dilemma. I don't know who the 3 defenders that you have would be a better choice than Ben Chilwell this week. No idea. Love to know. Tell me I'm not going to get to your question if you put it in the chat between now and deadline. But I'd love to know, message in the chat after deadline, who your 3 defenders were that you thought were better than Chilwell. Love to know. Dergish says Tony and me out, Haaland and Moreno Villa in from -4, or else Kane to Haaland. Selling Brentford defensive is okay at this stage. Good fixture next week at Wolves, though, particularly if you might need that coverage for sure. I'm going to say just move Kane, mate. Matthew Hall says, played De Gea over all your bench dilemma goalkeepers. Yeah, home to Everton. Yeah, sure, absolutely, mate. Stian String says he wasn't there because I didn't think anybody would ask that question. Stian String says Watkins captain over Haaland and Rashford. Too much differential. Like, if that's your preference, crack on, mate. It won't be for me. Matthew Hall says start March or Odegaard. March. Naeem says where is Kane the top captaincy picks? About 18th, mate. Richard Smith says, morning, James. Would you bench either Isak or McAllister? McAllister. It's on the bench in dilemmas. Sean McGinn, hi, James. Great work as always. Bench McAllister, Marshall, Isak. Same as above. Burger Hook says, evening, James. Currently on a plane between Sydney and Melbourne. Must be addicted to this. 2 free transfers and 0.1 short of doing Tony to Haaland. Would you do Raya to Everson or Rico to Nico Williams to fund it? Not if you've got a bench boost less. Otherwise, don't hate it. There wasn't much news on Aurea yesterday, so if you need Williams to play, why would you want Williams to play? I don't know who your other keeper is, right? If your other keeper's Kepa, you can't make that Everson move right now. Let me put it like that. Andrew Gronin says, hi, James. Which would you sell for the Norwegian cyborg? Darwin, Felix, or Isak? Felix. Stephen Curtis says, any thoughts on Salah as captain? Currently, it's nice differential. Yamanexus says, hello, James. Bench who? Isak or Martinelli? Isak, reluctantly. Bartos says, hello, March or Martinelli for this game week? March. Brian04, Haaland for Tony or Isak? I would do it for Tony at this stage. Simon Kerr, have a triple M's Brighton midfield. We know it. Tempted to start all 3 if we get team news that Bruno's starting deep again. Thoughts? Sure, it's fine. Nyasha says, hi, James. Who's start Martinelli or Evan Ferguson? Martinelli. Ray says, hi, James. My monthly UFC question for you. Pereira or Adesanya to win tonight? I wouldn't want to fight either of them, mate. Draw. Is that possible? Pavanar says, final midfield spot pending on wildcard. Bruno or an Arsenal midfield. Don't have any Arsenal players. I need to know your strategy. How can I answer that if I don't know if you're free hitting 32 or not? I mean, that decides the answer for me. Unknown TR, what's your overall rank, mate? About 303k. Love the growth of this channel. Thank you very much, mate. Ray Qureshi, I was sending the hearts. Love you too, mate. What, just you? How do you even do it? About 2 minutes to deadline, guys. Sana says, March or Willock, please. March. Nothing in terms of team news coming through, by the way, guys, at this stage. Not that I've got anyway. Alan Cronin, hi James. I already have Saka. Should I start Rodrigo or Odegaard? Thanks in advance. That's irrelevant. Start Odegaard, mate. Ricky Donahoe, March or Havertz? March. Andrew says, is Shaw's direct replacement? Malasia question being overlooked. Thinking Kiss. Point is, but how long for? Shaw could be back next week, Andrew. We've got nothing. And the word yes on Thursday was he was taken off as precautionary. I think if there'd been a week break between the Brentford and the Everton games, there's every chance Shaw would have played. I think he might be back next week. Darren Maiden says bench one, Zinchenko or Botman. Zinchenko. Aiden says morning, Trent and Tony to White and Haaland, -4. Free hit 32. Why White then? Why? Get yourself a doubler. Go. You probably can't afford a City player. On that strategy, not an Arsenal defender at this stage for me would be the point, mate. Dushant says, morning, James. Should I start Maddison or Tony? Tony. Joshua says, play Ings or Mitoma? Mitoma. I can't believe you asked that twice. Dave Lister says, morning, James. Thanks for the content. You two, mate. Sam Jones. Tony and Shaw to Haaland and Tarkowski, or Kane to Haaland. Tarkovsky's just a money thing. It's no use to you. Kane to Haaland. Yanmax have done that. Unknown to you, I've got a feeling Lamps won't start Kepa and got Ward on the bench. Worth leaving it as it is. I think Kepa will play today, but you're going to need to deal with that problem soon, I would say. Geordie Lee says, just loaded into your stream because Andy's down and I saw my benching dilemma straight away. Instant like and subscribe. Thank you, Geordie. Good luck. Hope everything's okay with Andy. Johan Healy says, start Martinelli or March. Thanks. March. Bain says, good luck, James. John Champion says, Rashford starts up front. Deadline. Interesting. Okay. Sorry to those I didn't get through. There was a lot of repetitive stuff in there about benching dilemmas. And I realise a lot of you have got that sort of stuff this week. So I hope I've managed to cover the majority of that off for you. If anybody's got any non-FPL questions, feel free to throw them in the chat and I'll hang around for you for 15 minutes or so. I've been trying to have a haircut and a shave every day this week and haven't managed to do it yet. I'm going to fucking do that. And then I'm going to go to Tottenham. So I might as well at least look a little bit better for the shit I'm about to watch. I'd love to tell you more about content this week, but I'm going to be very, very honest with you. It's been a bit mad this week with Suj and Nico on holiday, and I haven't given too much thought to the content next week as yet, and I probably won't till after the Tottenham game tonight. It's a bank holiday Monday here on Monday. I haven't decided yet, but there's every chance we're not going to do any content on Monday. I need a fucking break. I'm knackered. So if that's the case, it's not going to be long. Game week review Tuesday, probably, as it stands right now. I think that's more likely anyway, even if I decide to do something on Monday. I think Game Week Review Pod's probably going to be on Tuesday because Suj is back Tuesday and I want to do the Game Week Review Pod with Suj this week. What I can tell you is it'll be Sky Fantasy Wednesday, Clash of Correspondence Thursday is Tottenham versus Bournemouth with Ricky Saunders and Neil Grover. Friday, I can tell you as well, by the way, the plan is the following week, free Clash of the Correspondence for Game Week 32. That'll be Dan Lord and Mark Southerns, Liverpool versus Forest, Adam Pritchard and Matt Samuel, Arsenal versus Southampton, and Tom Med and Lee Jackson, Brentford versus Villa. Massive. The plan is to do Clash of Correspondence Tuesday, Thursday and Friday that week ahead of Game Week 32. Patreon content this week. I might do UCL Fantasy as a solo before the restart on Tuesday. If someone wants to join me for that, give me a shout. That's up to one of our patrons. Although, if you're a UCL Fantasy listener, player, and want to join me for a podcast, you don't have to be a patron, but the podcast will only be available on Patreon. Tottenham be back this week, obviously, with Suj back. We'll do the Q&A, but I'm not sure if it'll be Monday, Tuesday yet. Again, might take Monday off. Differential show Friday for the Game Week 31 preview. Obviously, it's not Friday deadline next week, is it? So probably Ask James stream, probably Friday afternoon next week as well. Obviously, if you do want to support the show, www.patreon.com/Planet FPL. For the advanced tier patrons, Nico's back on Tuesday, so that means the quality of your advanced tier content will certainly go back up this week. Right. Let's see who we've got in, who's got some non-FPL stuff. I can still see his FPL stuff. Pine Man says, if you just come for the FPL stuff, by the way, you can go now because I'm not doing any more. Smash a like, hit the sub button. Deadline stream next week. There's no Friday game, is there? I don't think. Same time next week. Oh, Suj is calling me. He's up. Do you think he's missed the deadline? Hello, boss. You're live on the Deadline stream.
I know. I was just watching, catching up. The deadline's passed, so let me ring in and see what's going on.
Oh, hello, mate.
Listen, everybody's giving so much love to all the guests. I think you need to get them to junk in the chat if they even want me to bother coming back.
Probably not, but I need you.
No more guests lined up. It's been an epic 2 weeks, to be fair.
Cheers, boss. Another pay rise?
Yeah, we can negotiate.
When are we? Are you taking Monday off?
Nah, well, I'm around. I ain't got nowhere to go.
All right, we'll do some content Monday. I'll think of something.
Lovely, lovely. Good luck to everybody. I'm going Haalandless. That's all I'm saying.
What did you do? Transfer?
Nothing. Rolled it.
Fuck, you got no Haaland or Watkins, have you?
Nah, I thought if there's a week to go without Haaland, He's coming back from injury. They got Bayern Munich midweek, but then the caveat flip side is they're playing the team bottom of the table that are just absolutely rubbish. So, but also it works the other way. Pep might decide that he can beat them without Haaland, considering how easily they slapped Liverpool last week. So I've gambled. I think he won't play him, and I think he'll come on for 20 minutes. This is a week to gamble, so let's see.
All right, good luck. Did you enjoy West Ham Wednesday?
Oh, mate, that was pathetic. That was pathetic. The type of mistakes defensively that 6 and 7-year-old kids make, mate. Every goal was.
We noticed.
Every goal was a gift. Like there's a difference when you play badly, play football badly, but this was just stupid mistakes, like ridiculous mistakes.
Are you going to stay up?
Yeah, we will, because I think there's 3 teams worse than us, but not because we deserve to.
All right. Well,
See
much love. Enjoy your weekend. I'll come up with a plan after our game and after we get our trousers pulled down today.
Enjoy. Good luck, everybody.
And you, mate.
Ciao, ciao.
Ciao, boss. Bye. Right, you all heard it. He said, yeah, negotiation on another pay rise. So there you go. That's factual now, isn't it? Right, what was we going to do? Some non-FPL. Andrew Sand says, are there any questions that you haven't been asked that you'd like us to ask? Yeah, questions that's not been asked. Chris Pointer says, cheers, James. Good luck. Nick Sharp says, a haircut. Yes, I realise I don't have a lot of hair, but at least I can... Not a haircut. Let's say shave. What fucking is there? Chris Pointer says, do you think De Zerbi struggles versus 5 at the back over Spurs? Oh, my God. I'm not going to talk about De Zerbi today. Atul Balaji says, hey James, forget the shave and haircut, put some sunglasses on and look raggedy sexy, love ya. Atul, I've been with my wife for 12 years, mate. I'm beyond giving much of a... I was going to say, beyond giving much of a shit, but I'm going to have a haircut and shave. The thing is as well, because the wife and Harry aren't here, they stayed at her dad's last night, as the advanced tier patrons will know. She hates me having a haircut. Let's say a big ass shave on my head when they're here. So another reason to get it done now. Darko says, hi James, what's your opinion on Perisic? Do you want him to stay next season, just let him go? Good luck. I mean, he'll stay because he's on like 160 grand a week, so no one's taking that unless someone wants to give a big loan, or you can get someone in the Middle East who'll take his wages or something. So I like Ivan. Best days are gone, isn't it? Let's be honest. Brain Clough says, lol. Carl Wells says, hi mate, what's your thoughts on Jesse Marsh to Leicester? Can't help feel deflated as a fox. Yeah, I can understand that. I think Jesse Marsh has something about him. I really do, actually. I know the majority of Leeds fans want him to go, and I think that the results since have probably suggested it was probably the right call. But I think he'll do well somewhere. But I also, you asked me if Jesse Marsh take the Tottenham job, how'd I feel? I'd be like, oh. So I can understand the deflation about that. Andrew Gronin says, shaving a haircut, 2 bits. Chandru says, how many midfielders do you think Liverpool should get in the summer to challenge for the title? About 4. James Brennan says, hi James, are there any Arsenal players past or present that you couldn't help but like other than Saka? I would be players who've done well for England, or I mean Ian Wright, we absolutely hated. We hated him. But there was a level of respect, absolutely, because it was like, fucking hell, this guy always against us. And he was ratty and he used to whinge, but he only needed one chance, he'd always score. So a huge respect for Ian Wright as a player. I remember thinking, well, when Ian Wright finishes, they just won't be the same. And then they got Anelka and then they got Omri. Ouch. Omri, obviously, at Bergkamp. I mean, the period of team from 98 to 04 had some magnificent players that even if you didn't like them because they played for them, you'd have to say, wow, great players. Fabregas is another one to put in there. Robin van Persie, there's loads. loads who I wouldn't say like, certainly respect. And I know what you're saying in terms of, I've said Saka is very difficult to dislike. You know, it's nice when he plays for England, I can shout him on. I think probably after Saka, because he was English, I think probably Ian Wright after that, actually. Just likability of footballer. It wasn't the best, obviously. The players, Henry was miles better. But in terms of, I did like Ian Wright. I mean, he was very underutilised for England. Should have played a lot more. TW says, sure replacement for Sky James. Really struggling to have Trippier and Dunk. Yeah, it's a tough call. Not someone who's playing next Sunday. You know what? Let me get the old spreadsheet up for you. I'll do you a quick turn because I said I've not thought about Sky much since Wednesday. I don't have Luke Shaw, so I've not really considered that. Right, ideal for you is probably to go back, if you want to go back, probably Sunday the 30th when United play Villa, if you come off. So, what's that giving you that'd be of interest? You could make a case another Brighton. I'd say I'd be tempted by, might be a bit left field this, Joachim Anderson, Palace, for the 5 games, Leeds, Southampton, Everton, Wolves, West Ham, and then go back to a United player or go to another Brighton player. So there you go, there's my shout for you, Joachim Anderson, which will obviously be tomorrow, so it gives you some thinking space. If you have any problems today as well, you might, something different as well. Amar says Pepsi or Coke. Coke by miles, which I know if Jamie Roberts is watching is going to really piss him off, but don't care. FPL Golo Halazzo, hip hop or UKG? Is UKG UK Garage, is it? If it is, I'm going to say UK Garage. I used to have a little bit of Mission FM, 90.6 back in the day in the late 90s, early 90s. FPL Big Licks, didn't know you were into MMA and watch UFC, mate. I think Israel gets redemption tonight. I don't. Suj does. Suj loves it. Aston Villa Bozzy. Well, I have the exact same team as you, James, except I have Mings for Henry. Good luck to us both. Then you've got a stronger team than me this week. Good luck. Ray Qureshi says farewell, Suj. Atul says genuinely miss Suj. Shakalaka comeback, Suj. Amos says Suj is the man. Dan, nothing beats James and Suj. Kailesh says, hi James. No, we won't get it, but other forward, I'm not doing any more FPL, Kailesh, but thank you, mate. Having enough. Deadline's gone, mate. Bozos says, awesome job, James. Still trying to sort my Patreon subscription out. Sher has written to me with instructions on how to do it via Patreon. So try again. Cheers, mate. You and Son are the goats. Literally Sher, as in like Sher, you know. Do you believe in love after love? That one. James Brennan says, do you want Wrexham or Notts County to go up? Give a shit. It doesn't make no difference to me, mate. If Wrexham don't go up this year, go up next year. Notts County, probably, if they don't go up this year, probably go up next year. One of them will probably come up via the playoffs, won't they? They'll probably both go up. Ian says, after some Pratt accidentally took a minus 56 in the differential team this week because they were logged into the wrong account, which obviously is Ian's dog's account or something. Have you made any real dumb accidental moves before? No, I can only think there was one a few years back where I bought Jimenez as part of a -4 and then the game week kicked off and he was third on the bench. Like, not a fucking clue how that could have happened. Obviously, I mean, at the time I was absolutely convinced I'd been fucked over, but it's only me pressing the buttons as far as I know. Ian says, come back, Suj, we love you. Ethan Hood says, hi James, what you make of Scott Munn's appointment at Spurs? I don't know enough about him, Ethan, and not had a lot of time to research it, but he was part of the City Group's operation in Asia, was he, maybe? I think he's Australian, isn't he? Which has led loads of people to think, Ange Postecoglou is the next Tottenham manager. I don't think that's quite the case. But I don't know enough about him yet. But I think Tottenham appointing people who are good with football operations is definitely no bad thing. But I need to do a bit more research on it. Zugi says Fabianski had a shocker. Amos says, give Suj a 1% rise. That's up to Suj, isn't it? Palace says, I don't remember who did I captain. Great. Dan says, your immediate reaction to Rodgers being confirmed at Spurs. Yeah, amazing, mate. Like, overwhelmed. So incredibly happy. FPL Trini says, will the UCL Fantasy Pod be Patreon alone? Yeah, it always is, mate. It's a Patreon gig. I might be doing it on my own. But it's normally every Tuesday is Champions League football. But it does become less important, particularly beyond the quarter-final stage. It'll probably become more of a general Champions League chat pod. Simon Kurt says, Brighton going off as favourites at White Hart Lane. What a time to be alive. Yeah, because the bookies aren't stupid, mate. Dave Lister says, hi, James. Here's a question. Do you love or hate Marmite? That's a hate from me, mate. Palash says, not doing any more FPL, mate. Thank you. Have a great weekend. Matthew Hogban says, hope you're well, James. Sky question. Worth taking Bruno Fernandes out for Haaland today? No. If you have a lot of transfers left, Matthew, you're like 18 plus, sure. Less than that, probably wouldn't. FPL Bull says, hi, James. What do you make of that Jesus Perez picture? I've not seen it, mate. Sean W says, what club with Tielemans best suit next year as he's on a free? I mean, I'll take him at Spurs. Good choice for Liverpool, I think. Who's next? Hattel says, do you believe in getting a raise? No. Sean, yeah, genuinely no. Sean W says, what? That's what we've done. Races. What are your thoughts on Roman beating Cody at WrestleMania, James? I genuinely thought Cody should have got the dub. Benno, who does who's part of the Grapple podcast, which is the best wrestling podcast around. He came in the stream a few weeks ago, if you remember, and asked, said, it's that time of year, James, who should win it? And I said they should keep it on Roman Reigns for as long as they can. So, yeah, I saw there was uproar about it, though. People were not happy. Blair H says, how much will Ndai be worth in FPL next season if Blades go up? He'll be really interesting. Really interesting. A very talented footballer. I suspect he'll probably come in more than you want him to. I wouldn't be surprised if he's 6, for example. Renee A says, have you ever done rage moves? Oh, I'm sure I have back in the day, but you learn from it and it's no good for you, mate. Callum Mates, my friend, says, hey, mate, thoughts on finally a wrestling pay-per-view coming to London and Wembley of all places, not WWE, it's Tony Khan's AEW in August. Yes, at Wembley Stadium as well, surprised. Be a little bit tempted, but I mean, I'd like to see what the ticket prices were, because I did look at getting tickets for Money in the Bank. I even registered for the pre-sale to have a look, and I could have bought tickets for like 300 quid up in the fucking gods of the OT. Jesus Christ, no, you're right. Now, if they're trying to do Wembley Stadium, I know if the ticket price is going to be a little bit more reasonable and realistic. The other thing is it's a Sunday night, right? In August. Tottenham playing ain't going. So it's probably a no from me, mate. Super Tiger says, hi, James. Have I been muted, blacklisted? Obviously not, mate. You're there. So if I missed a question of yours, I'm sorry, mate. But the answer to your question is no, because I can see it. You might have been on Twitter. That I can't tell you. Yeah. Say hello. And if you've regarded to Twitter, you know, tag me on Twitter and say hello. And if I don't respond to you, there's every chance you've been muted on Twitter, right? I don't piss about with these. If you said something I don't like, or you've come sarky at me or something or anything like that, there's every chance you have been. But no, you're here, mate. Francis Logan says, give Manchester United game a miss and watch the Celtic. Oh, Old Firm today, innit? Waste of time, innit? Celtic have won it, mate. It's irrelevant. Batter, I don't mean necessarily the game today. I've won the title. Batterhand says, what is the best section in Tottenham Hotspur Stadium? The honest answer to that is, like, get yourself on the south for most people. I sit in line with the penalty area, basically east upper, row 6. I just think it's an amazing seat. That was the seat that I picked. That's what I chose. But in terms of the atmosphere stuff on the south, the only thing is when you're on the south, you can't see the south. And the best visuals of the game is that you can see that stand. So I like where I am. Bozos says, the one and only Sher from Patreon, she's super helpful. Well, give my regards to Sher and tell her thanks, mate. Trev Murphy says, do you want Poch or Nagelsmann as the next Spurs manager? Neither. I want the guy who'll be at White Hart Lane today. I've got a seriously big bad agenda about this, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think Nagelsmann will still end up at Chelsea. I do think Poch will end up coming back. I still think that's probably on the cards once Paratici gets his ban from world football confirmed on April 19th. I think Tottenham will be looking at him. They won't make that move till Paratici is confirmed. Who would I prefer to have of the two? Nagelsmann, if I'm answering that honestly. You won't take away from me my nervousness about watching Mauricio Pochettino's Tottenham that didn't have Mr. Dembele. It scares me. Shakalaka says Jota from Celtic to Liverpool would be smart investment. Question. I've not seen enough of him, mate. Can play with both feet, age 23, can play both right forward or left forward, good dribbling skills, can pick the pass. I'll take your word on that, mate. FPL Golo Galazzo. Should Trent move into midfield to reignite his career if Klopp allows it? No, I disagree with this. I always have done. Need to see the game. I don't think he is a midfielder, personally. Finley says Jesse Marsh to Leicester seems like a relegation move. Might be. Baddy says Paul Heyman is the better fit. For what? This stream. Kailash says, if you could make a sports documentary about Tottenham players, sportsmen past or present, that hasn't been made, what would it be? Sorry about FPL question, just replying to your question during stream. No problem, mate. Good question. I'd want to see something car crash. Like Christian Gross's spell as Tottenham manager. Why not? Laugh at the car crash back. Don't know, man. If you could have been a fly on the wall for that Champions League run. Filming me in Amsterdam thinking I'm going to die when Moura gets the hat-trick goal. The screaming like a girl when the goal was disallowed at the Etihad. A player, sports person, past or present. I'm going to say I'd want it to be a Tottenham player, wouldn't I? Musa. Just listen to an hour of people telling an hour of his teammates telling people that he's the best player they've ever played with. Capital FPL says top 6 predictions. I don't know why I'm thinking about that because I know the answer. Arsenal, City, Manchester United, Newcastle, Brighton, Liverpool. Jason Brunning says, have you seen Succession? No. Andrew Gronin says, look at these hearts. Thank you, mate. I can see them coming up, but I don't know if it looks different on the visual to you as it looks to me, but thank you for those pressing the hearts. That's what it says, believe you're stuck in my head now. Fantastic. Good luck, mate. FPL Golo Galazzo says, can the Italian team win the Champions League? Yes, absolutely they can. 75% chance one's going to be in the finals, so of course, absolutely. Right, I'll leave it there, guys. Thanks so much. Much love. Have a great game week. I know Suj said, yeah, we'll do some content Monday, but yeah, it might be Tuesday. Let's have a little think about it after our teams have played the games today. But as always, thank you for the support. If you want to support our show and the content, www.patreon.com/Planet FPL. Otherwise, have a great weekend. We'll confirm the schedule for you on the Bird app tomorrow night. Take care, everyone. Ciao for now.